on the power of connection, where I talk to business owners like yourself about like why you started your business, how like getting clarity, getting your communication right, and really leaning into connection and community has helped you to grow your business. So thank you. And hello.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Oh, pleasure. Well, we just jumped straight on in. I'm just going to ask you a few questions that might help other businesses that are trying to use messaging to grow their business. And the first thing I want to ask you about, and I know it was a long time ago because you have an amazing business, was why did you start your business?
Okay, well, I have been a physio for 30 years and I was working in the NHS and left to have my three children. And then my daughter started playgroup and I thought, I need to use my brain. I've got a spare room at home. I'm going to start my own business. But as a physio, I'd always really tried to avoid outpatient physio. So certainly in the NHS, you have 20 minutes in and out, and you're only allowed to touch the bit the doctor writes on the bit of paper, and it never really sat right with me. So to the point where I used to send my husband up the road to a physio if he hurt his back. So when I was going to set up on my own, I thought, okay, I need to do something about this. So I was looking for a course to update my skills, found this amazing technique that we now specialize in, and that's how I set up. And I just started 2 mornings a week when my daughter was at playgroup. The first year, it was just grew organically through friends and neighbours and people I knew, and then it sort of carried on from there.
Wow. And how long ago was that?
That was 17 years
Wow. And
somehow.
tell me, like that is correct. Well, obviously I did know that, but I knew you forgot to say it. Um, but tell me, so you don't like the typical kind of physio. So you said there that you did a course in a specific type of physio. Tell me more about that.
Okay, so the treatment we specialise in is called Myofascial Release, and it was developed by an American physio called John Barnes. And it's a really gentle hands-on treatment. And what's different to most therapeutic sort of hands-on treatment is that, yes, of course, we want to help your pain, we want to help your symptoms, but we also look at why. And in looking at why, we look at your whole body. And it's absolutely brilliant for getting to the root cause of what's going on. So it's not a quick fix, it's not a miracle cure, but most of our patients have tried loads of stuff. They've been everywhere, tried everything. And this really is the missing link to enable them to get in touch with their body, to know how to manage things themselves, but also for us to help them to get there.
Wow, God, it sounds amazing. And I imagine obviously clients are so important in their needs. So you've been in the business for 17 years. You have worked in physio for so much longer than that. Do you have a favorite type of client? Who do you love to work with?
Um, the people who really think that there's no hope, because they're the people that I really feel we can make a difference with. And it breaks my heart knowing there's so many people out there that think they can't be helped. And, like I say, we're not going to fix everybody, but we can really make a big difference to so many people. And it's those people when I do for new patients, we do a free Zoom call and we go through their medical history, and they cry because it's the first time that anybody's actually sat and listened to their whole story
Wow.
and said, yes, this makes sense. And, they might have a whole variety of conditions, often at the same time, and, different history and traumas and things like that. And just being able to say, yeah, we're going to treat you, and what you're feeling is it's not in your head, it's real, and yes, we can make a difference. That is the best feeling in the world.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I can certainly understand why you pick them then, because you can make such a difference, can't you?
Yeah, yeah. And everybody's got stuff and everybody's got a story. But yeah, there are people, and you just think, how do you carry on? They're so strong, they're amazing.
Wow. Oh my God, it's so inspirational, Nikki. I just think the more you talk about what you do, it just really comes to life, like how many people you're really deeply helping. So tell me, like, so you go through the history, and by the sounds of things, even in that meeting, even at that point of the journey, you already, without even starting any kind of treatment, you already like almost like lift a load off their shoulders, don't you? But then when they actually do the treatment, when they actually have their first visit, what do they say? Or look, it doesn't even have to be their first visit. Maybe it's just when they start working with you. Like, so what do they say? What is the common things that you hear back from people who have visited Holisticare?
Oh, it's the lifting of the worry is a big thing of them. They can make plans to do things with their families again, and they can start enjoying life instead of worrying, how am I going to feel when I wake up in the morning, and that sort of thing. I had one patient this morning told us that it was two of us were treating her at the same time, and she said, "You're like super WD-40." And she felt that we just squirted WD-40 into her whole body, and she just felt she could move again, which was lovely to hear. Another patient this morning that I've treated, he's got really, really bad sort of tension fibrosis in his neck from radiotherapy. And when I saw him, he really couldn't move his head at all. And we're not back to normal, but he has now got some movement. And he said, the biggest difference is I can go for a walk now and see where I'm going. And I sort of looked at him and thought, no, your legs are fine. And he said, no, before I couldn't lift my head up to look around me. I had to look at the floor. And now I can see where I'm going and look around me and appreciate if I go for a walk in the countryside. And that really brought a lump to my throat.
It did. Oh my God, how are you not in a state? Oh my God, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? Like, oh my God, Nikki.
And that's
Like,
just this morning.
this is yeah, like I talk about the power of connection, but like that is like healing connection. Like that is just phenomenal. Like, yeah, you've allowed him to drink in everything that he sees around us. Most of us are trying to rush through, to get, and all he wants to do is look around, and he couldn't. Like, God, that's such a gift that you have. Like, honestly, there are no words. There are no words.
Oh, thank you.
Do you know? Well, God, now I was going to ask you, like, is there a common issue that crops up? But it really sounds like there isn't. Like,
pain, I suppose, but
pain, yeah, and the alleviation of pain.
I think that's often people's driving force, because you can put up with a lot, but when pain affects your sleep or starts, it's the effect that the pain has. So the pain will reach a point where, you can't do the sports you enjoy, you can't even work, you can't sleep, you can't look after your children, that kind of thing. So there'll be a thing that makes people think, right, and now I need help. But in terms of different conditions and symptoms and diagnoses, there's a whole load of stuff, and often they're all there at the same time as well.
Wow, goodness. Okay, well, this might be a difficult question, but is there a favorite part of what you do? What do you like? What is because it's your own business and you employ people as well, like, and you have a wealth of clients, and you've been in business 17 years. Like, was there a time that stood out for you, or is there something part of the business that you just adore, that you just love?
I think it's seeing the change in people. So we have our Let It Go program, which is where people come for 3 hours of treatment every day, and they do it for 3 or 5 or 10 days, and those people they've got stuff going on, like I say, and often they come in and they're nervous. They might have traveled for hours to come to us, and they don't know us. They've never had this treatment before, and they probably, got a lot going on. They're in pain. And so at the beginning of the week, they come in a bit apprehensive. They're not really sure. And at the end of the week, they're part of the Holisticare family. They're like a different person. And our receptionists say that they love seeing people as they leave, that how different they are from when they come in, and seeing that journey that they've been on in such a short time and being part of that. And then we keep in touch with them as well. And yeah, that I think is my favorite thing. And then they tell us, they get in touch and say, oh, I booked that holiday that I said I couldn't. And you hear how it's changed their life, and that's amazing.
That is amazing. And that makes me think, okay, we've got to get the Let It Go link into this video. I'll make sure that it goes out with what, the details that I share everywhere that this video is available, because there's so few people who are not in pain, like we all have a discomfort, a niggle, something that people tolerate. And by the sounds of it, you shouldn't you shouldn't be tolerating it.
Absolutely. Why, if you think about, your cat, they wouldn't dream of being in a position or doing something that was uncomfortable. They just wouldn't do it. Just like they wouldn't dream of getting up without stretching. It's just what they do to make their body feel good. We're no different. We're made of the same stuff. And also the problem is that the longer you think, oh, it'll be fine in the morning, oh, it'll be okay, the longer it's there, the more your body has to compensate for it. And because everything's connected, the more chance there is of other stuff happening, and more inflammation and more pain. And so by the time you then do go for treatment, it's harder and it takes longer to resolve, because you've got all this other stuff to deal with as well. Whereas if you'd gone as soon as you noticed it, it's quite quick.
Oh, that's amazing. So it must be most people have pain, so it must be easy to find clients. Or like, what's the challenge? Like, how do you find clients to come to Holisticare?
Word of mouth is massive. Since I've started, it's sat at about 80%, and we treat whole extended families. One family, we've treated 4 generations of the same family, because we treat newborn babies up to, our oldest patient was 97.
Wow.
And yeah, it's the challenge that I faced when I first started has got easier, because more people have heard about the fascia, and it's a bit of a buzzword, certainly in the yoga exercise world. And people are on forums, because they're international. They're hearing about this amazing treatment called Myofascial Release, and then they Google it, and then they find us. But our biggest thing is people telling other people, and that's what we rely on, because if you're in pain, you're vulnerable. And a lot of people, if they've spent a lot of money trying to sort out these problems, and a lot of time, and then invested a lot of themselves for no long-term gain, so they're very nervous in trying, oh, here's somebody else who says they can sort me out. So when they hear from somebody, and often it's third or fourth hand that people will hear, but it's real. And that makes them feel that they can trust us. And when I first meet new patients, I always say, did so and so, whoever referred them, tell you about the treatment? And they say, no, they just said you'd sort me out. So it's just that they've got that confidence in us, and that means a lot.
Wow. So the words I'm hearing are like trust, faith, confidence. So I totally understand how you've treated 4 generations because of that power of recommendation for you. But so have there been any strategies that you have dipped your toe in that just, especially for any businesses out there who are like, okay, word of mouth, Okay. How will I do that though? How will I get word of mouth into my business? Like, or may like so let's go back to that. How did that all start for you? Like, was there something you did to just get the ball rolling on that when you started? Can you remember back then? Like, what did you do to apart from provide an amazing service?
I think it
Was there something you did to get that word of mouth going?
to start with, it happened on its own without, and then I realized, oh wow, this is amazing. How can I do more? And
Yeah.
that, so it kind of, our lovely patients did it for me to start with. I then started business networking, which I've continued to do. I've been doing for about 15 years. And that is massive for word of mouth because people sort of get to know you and understand what you do, and then they tell their friends and family about you. So word of mouth wise, networking is amazing. And with our patients, we ask, they're very good, they do tell people, but then we ask them to tell people as well, because sometimes people go, oh yeah, oh I didn't realize, because they come to us with, say, a bad back. They don't think, oh, you can help migraines. Oh well, my niece has been in bed for the last 3 days with a migraine, can you help her? And so you have to talk to people and just make them aware, give them the information that they can use. And we say thank you to our patients who refer. So we give them credit and we give them loyalty stamps. We've got a loyalty stamp scheme. So we like to say thank you.
Brilliant, brilliant. That is such, like, I can just imagine someone maybe who has started their business for a while, but is like, okay, everyone talks about word of mouth, but how can I get it going? And then let's do the opposite, shall we? So you said business networking really worked. Like, is there something that you've been advised or tried that you're like, oh, that just wasn't for me? That just did not work.
Yeah, every time, and I keep getting sucked into it, and that's paid printed adverts.
Yeah.
Um, and often it's to support a charity or an event, or so. But it's never once worked, I have to say. And I've tried so many different versions of it, and we had professionals design the thing. And I think because what we do is different and it needs a bit of explanation, and yeah, people need to trust it. When you just see it on a piece of paper, it doesn't work. So yeah, I keep saying I'm never going to do it again. And on the opposite side, the thing that I love doing that really works, which I forgot to say just before, was
Yeah.
talks. And I know not everybody enjoys talking in public, but I love talking about what I do and doing workshops and showing people how they can help themselves. And again, that's word of mouth, because I'll have a room full of, say, 50 people. They might not have a problem, but they'll go home and then talk to their family about it, and things like that. So getting out and doing events and actually chatting to people, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I can imagine. And your passion for it definitely comes across. So yeah. And speaking of passion, like, what's your dream for your business for the next, I don't know, like 6 months, a year? What are you like? Oh, that's what we're going for.
I would like to carry on the trajectory that I've been on the last 6 months working with you, where we've been really focusing on the Let It Go program and looking at making that sort of really a big part of the business. And my dream is to just grow that and grow that, so that we're so busy I have to take on another therapist. And so, and also that people talk about us. I'd love for there to be a buzz about it. Have you heard to be the place to go? And again, it's that word of mouth and reaching more people. So yeah, I want to be the Holisticare buzz. I'd love to create that.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I can't see why there wouldn't be, because you have such passion, and and the more energy, the more people see that energy, the more you kind of consistently, keep going with that energy, and obviously looking after yourself too, to make sure that you can keep that going. then people want that energy, Nikki. Like they want that, it's that connection, that spark, oh, exciting.
Mhm.
And how can people work with you then? How can they, I bet there's a few different ways that people can experience what it is like to work with you.
Yes, so most people start with our website, give us a call, and if you're interested, the free Zoom call is the place to start because we just have a chat. I can understand, get to really see how you're feeling, how it's affecting your life, what you need, make sure that we're the right fit, explain about the treatment, answer any of your questions, and then take it from there, come up with a plan of action. Um, so the other way of finding out about what we do is through the online program, which is basically a 6-week program that I used to teach in person, is now online, and you get lifetime access to 24 different self-treatment techniques and relaxation audios and loads of information. And the other one is my new book. It's called Manage Your Pain, Transform Your Life.
Wow.
And again, it's been called simple. It's also been called empowering and practical and relatable. And it's basically my brain in the book. So it's what I tell my patients, but without the benefit of the hands-on treatment. So
Yeah.
it shows you how to understand what's going on in your body and how you can help yourself if you can't come for treatment straight away.
And speaking of coming for treatment, something has just popped into my head because obviously I'm in Dublin, in
Mhm.
Ireland. And where are you? Where are you, the people? Because I know for a fact, and so I'm like, oh, Nikki hasn't said this yet, but I know that you have people who come to you from around the world. And tell me then, like, why it's so easy to get to you.
So we are on a working farm between two little villages in the countryside between Hertfordshire and Essex in England. We are 15-minute drive from Stansted Airport. We're 10 minutes from the M11. We're half an hour on the train from the centre of London. So we are really easy to get to by lots of different modes of transport. And yeah, there are patients who sort of come for a treatment, say 1 or 2 hour treatment, they'll travel up to an hour and a half without, that's just normal for us. People who come for the Let It Go packages, they come from all over Europe, from all over the UK, Cornwall, Scotland, yeah, everywhere. Places I've never heard of, which is great. It's like a geography lesson.
Oh, my geography is terrible. So, oh my goodness, it has been such a pleasure to talk to you today. Just how you talk about your clients, it's just I can only imagine what it is like, to the care that you give them. I can only imagine, how invested your whole team are in just watching somebody to go from a position of discomfort and indeed, as you say, pain and sometimes immobility
Mm.
to like walking out the door with a spring in their step. It's just, and I know it's not a quick fix, like you said, but at the same time, I know that it lasts. So it's fantastic. So congratulations, and I hope that you get every dream that you're wishing for over the coming year. Nikki, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much.